Oh, we'll be talking.
Hello there.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, here we go again. The second week that we are going to be doing this, and we are recording this a little bit earlier today because we've got an important function we're attending tonight. It's the launch of the first documentary that Lucentlands has produced. So we are quite excited for that.
Yes, certainly we are. We're excited, and we're going to get go and see the launch, and we are very proud of this. So we'll talk more about that later. But
once it's out, we will obviously be sharing it everywhere.
Indeed.
Yes.
Indeed.
But right, so for today, we looked at what was going on in the news, and something floated across my phone at the end of last week that was put out by CGA, Citrus Growers of South Africa. It went out on their WhatsApp channel, which is always a trove of information for anybody in the fruit industry, because they keep it regularly updated about what's happening in the ports and of issues that might come up. So it would be good to subscribe to that, and we will link it in the comments as well. So,
well, I think today we're going to unpack this, and it's It's titled "Market Access and Trade Matters: SA USA v AGOA," and it's compiled by Jana Jansen van Rensburg and Dion Hubert, dated the 14th of February. And I think it's very insightful because it raises several things. Everybody is talking about AGOA and how terrible it is, and how people don't know I certainly didn't know the details until I read this, and I think it will be very of great use to people.
Okay, so what I must add there is that this is related to the citrus industry. We can't talk on behalf of any other agricultural products going to the States or what their relationships is. We certainly have not seen anything in the public from any other agricultural things. There's been a lot of talk about citrus, the citrus programs to the US, which is quite significant for the industry in South Africa.
Yes, access to access to the US market over the last 2 decades has grown the citrus production, particularly the soft citrus production, very rapidly in South Africa. So it's timeless and very relevant. So yeah. I think the important thing here is just to clarify, what is it, why is it, how is, what's it all about? Okay. So shall I start, Dewald?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. So it says the trade challenges. First of all, for South Africa, the renewal of AGOA, and the AGOA is the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act between South Africa and the US, expires on the 30th of September 2025. And under the Trump administration, a renewal doesn't look promising at this stage. Without the AGOA, South African citrus will fall under the harmonized tariff schedule of the US. Competitors have free trade arrangements with the US, selling their products at far more competitive prices. So in other words, if with AGOA, your price is more competitive. But without AGOA, it doesn't mean that you cannot access the market.
Yeah, so the way we understand the tariffs work, and Justin Chadwick has also previously explained it to us in one of these broadcasts or one of the podcasts, is that we as the exporting company do not pay the tariffs. The tariffs get paid in the country upon arrival by the buyers there. So, for instance, if there's a 20% tariff price, or let's make it easier, 10% tariff price, and the thing lands in the country for 1,000 Rand, it will then cost, the buyer will then have to pay 1,100 Rand, meaning that he will pass on that 10% cost increase to the end user who buys it. So there's no cost implication to the person exporting to that country. The cost implication is for the consumer on the other side.
So it makes it a little bit more expensive and potentially less attractive to get unless it's in huge demand. So
Yes.
just a little bit on what is the AGOA Act. It is a non-reciprocal preferential trade framework and part of the United States of America's Trade and Development Act. In conjunction with the trade preferences under the US Generalized System of Preferences, currently there are 32 eligible Southern African countries receiving duty-free access on over 7,000 marketable goods, of which 800 are agricultural and of which South Africa is part. So I think what's quite important is to take note of the fact that South Africa isn't the only recipient of the AGOA benefits. It's 32 eligible countries in sub-Saharan Africa. So
Yes.
we form part of a bigger unit. It is possible that that could be reduced to 31 eligible countries should the American government decide to do that. But at this stage, AGOA isn't just about South Africa. So that's an important point.
So, like I said, we don't know. It says there's 800 agricultural products or goods going from Africa to the States. We don't know how many of those 800 is from South Africa or South African products. That we can't talk about. The only things that we know about at the moment is citrus. There's some table grapes and there is stone fruit.
Yeah. So that is what's quite important about AGOA. And then we've got one of the things in the AGOA, the agreement with South Africa, between the US and South Africa, is that we have a non-tariff barrier, which is a phytosanitary barrier, which is the citrus black spot. Only Western and Northern Cape provinces may export to the US under import regulations due to inconsistent phytosanitary ban. And it says here, for example, Argentina. So Gerald, I'm going to let you talk about the timeline, which is on the next page. I think that would be a good place to go. If you can move it down move it down to there so it's visible.
Okay, and then for anybody listening to this, this is how Louise and myself understand this document. We are obviously, if we must be corrected in what we are saying, please get in contact with us and we will correct it. So this is how we understand it, and I think that if we understand it this way, the general public out there could very well also understand it the same way. So
for sure, if we are misunderstanding it, we will be happy to be corrected. We are just reading what we see here and how we understand it.
Yes. So by the looks of things, America has been trying to force pork and poultry products onto South Africa in a big way. And we've got tariffs in place against them that must be paid on this side. Like, for instance, it says here poultry tariffs include carcasses, excluding necks and offal, with all guts or all cuts removed. There's a 31% on frozen, whole birds 82%, boneless cuts 42%. So we also have things in place against them. They do not have access to South African market in terms of pork. No market access for pork offal. Heat-treated canned products and casings. Apparently no guidance for unjustified restriction that lymph nodes must be removed from shoulder cuts. So there's a big thing about the pork diseases and stuff that we are blocking them on. Right. So there's also the thing about why AGOA might be cancelled. Again, we'll link this document in the thing. So there's a couple of things there, but let's look at the timeline over here on the consolidated timeline of highlights. So in 2010, citrus black spot detected on citrus in Florida, and USDA established domestic regulations governing the movement of citrus from CBS present to CBS free areas ever since. US import regulations allows SA citrus after specified packing house handling, because this was in the beginning of it. SA requested US to amend its import regulations for citrus from SA to align import regulations for CBS with domestic regulations. So that's basically, I think, if I understand it correctly, 2011 that agreement came in that from the Western Cape and Northern Cape we can ship to them. TIFA, there's I don't know what all the acronyms is. There's a lot of acronyms. TIFA amended and signed 2012, 2013. US allowed citrus imports from Uruguay in accordance with the 2010 APHIS, CBS, PRA, and domestic US CBS regulations, which aligned with South Africa's 2011 request. So it looks like, reading this and understanding it, like Uruguay has got the same issue as South Africa, certain parts with CBS and some without. Then it goes on that US formalized the draft rule for SA citrus, which was open for comment, consistent with the 2010 and domestic regulations as requested by SA in 2011. 2000 to 2015, trade dispute of 15 years on US chicken reached critical point. Ultimatum given by the US to remove trade barriers to US bone-in chicken cuts that was blocked from SA market since 2000. 2015, negotiations for the renewal of AGOA with SA lead to agreement of an annual quota of US bone-in chicken to be imported into SA. The first US exports of poultry to SA after 15 years. So we gave in to be part of AGOA. 2016, agreement reached on tariff rate quota for US poultry. 2017, USDA granted access for Argentine lemons in line with the 2010 CBS regulations, which corresponded with SA's 2011 request and the 2014 draft rule for SA citrus. In 2018, USDA publication indicated that the draft rule for SA citrus from areas where CBS has been known to occur was scheduled for final rule publication on September 2018. This did not occur. 2020,
so basically, we've been waiting from 2018 for an answer on that. So it looks like they were talking about giving us an answer, and we are 2025 and we still haven't heard it.
Yeah. So. USDA granted access to citrus from China consistent with the CBS regulations, as well as SA's 2011 request and the 2014 draft rule for SA citrus. 2021, USDA granted access to additional citrus production areas in Australia in accordance with the CBS regulations, which aligned with SA and the 2014 draft rule for SA citrus. 2024, the International Trade Administration Commission of South Africa announced extensions of anti-dumping duties on the poultry portions. February 25, the US President executive order to cut financial assistance to SA due to the expropriation bill. And then in September of 2025, AGOA must be renewed. Okay, so what I understand from this is that the US has given access to other countries, South American countries, China and Australia, for their citrus that could be from CBS related areas. Is that how you understand it?
That is how it seems to set it out here. And again, we speak under correction. Please correct us if we misunderstood this. But from the whole long discussion you said, it sounds to me like since 2011, which is 14 years, we've been asking for something which has been granted to several other countries, and we have not had response from that. 2018, they were going to get back to us on this request, and this did not occur. That's written here in black and white. So I think what we need to do is okay, the US tariffs on South African citrus without AGOA. I think that is the summary is here. You can see it. We're not going to go through all of it because it's going to take too long.
Yeah, no,
But-
I'm not going to go through everyone, but I just want to highlight the summary at the bottom there.
Okay.
So
yes, please do.
there it is, and you'll be able to see it in the document. Okay. The US tariff penalty based on the average of 1.9 US cents times 18.50. That was the exchange rate on 13 February 2025, as you can see it there. It works out to 0.35 cents per kilogram. That's R5.27 per 15 kilogram carton exported. Under AGOA, SA citrus exports to the US in 2024 totaled 102 million kilograms. There's a lot of notes here. I don't want to.
It's 102. It is 102 million.
I don't want to pull an ex-president move on myself, yeah? That equates to 6.8 million 15 kilogram cartons, valued at 1.7 billion rand. This is both according to SARS, you can see there, without AGOA, and at the SARS value and quantity, the total tariff penalty on exports would have been 36 million rand that the consumer would have paid extra in the US. So 35 million rand is a considerable amount. And here is my opinion on this. In the grand scheme of things, 35 million versus 1.7 billion is not a massive. It's a lot of money, but it's not an earth-shaking amount of money. So if I look at myself, and I'm pretty sure yourself as well, Louise, if you want an avo to have with your omelette tomorrow morning, or put on a piece of toast, or if you go to a restaurant and they charge you 30 Rand an avo and you really want it, you are going to buy it, even though you could probably get it cheaper from somewhere else. I think, and again,
yes,
my opinion, if that lady or the Mr. or Mrs. Jones in the States is standing in front of the fruit aisle and there is citrus from South Africa on the shelf and it is 1.9 cents, US cents more expensive per kilogram, that's 2 pounds, I don't think they're going to mind paying that extra.
Well, I think it boils down to I think you're absolutely right, Gewald, and it boils down to the percentage, the last line there in that little paragraph. It says the percentage of the US tariff penalty on the South African export value without AGOA. So in other words, the difference it would make if AGOA disappeared is 2.1%. So I think to put it in a nutshell, if AGOA disappears, it doesn't mean we can't export to the United States.
No.
It's a very important thing because people seem to think if AGOA is gone, we can't export. We can still export. And money has different values to different people. But it means that without the AGOA, it'll be 2.1% more expensive, which is...
For the consumer.
For the consumer, which means that one would have to relook at your things and have to see if it's still worth your while and still see how affordable it is and how sustainable the economics of this are. But first of all, we can still export, and it's a single-digit value, the percentage, more that it will be more. So I think those are important takeaways from this.
But I think in terms of cost implications for the man on the street in the US buying our products, it's not like something is going to go from $1,000 to $1,002. It will be maybe $5 or $10 going to $10.20, for instance.
Yeah. So I think we've made the point, and I think.
But what we must also add is that is to say, if Trump doesn't come back and says he imposes a 25% tariff through the bank on South Africa, then it becomes a different story.
For sure. But we are currently discussing what would the situation be for South African citrus exporters to the US if we were to be, if our AGOA privileges were discontinued. And I think it's important to know that. So I think it's been a good discussion, Dewald, and I think to me it's a good. This document is really worth looking at. If any of you in the citrus industry or affiliated to the citrus industry are interested in this, take a while and have a good look at this document, because it's extremely well set out, and it explains the situation, the timeline, the situation, the actual tariffs, and how it's all put together. It explains it very well, and we can congratulate Citrus Growers Association of South Africa for putting out such a well explained document, and it's pretty level headed, and it gets rid of all the hoo-ha and drama around this.
It is just said in layman's terms.
Absolutely. So I think that's it for today.
Just on a side note, we've had some very interesting podcasts that we've recorded this week, which should come out over the next couple of weeks. Very cool things. Yeah, and we are extremely excited about tonight's launch of our documentary, which as soon as it's available to the public, we will be putting it out for sure.
Thank you. Thank you very much for listening. Have a good one.
Right. Bye-bye.